The South African Communist Party is calling for a full inquest into the assassination of struggle icon Chris Hani. Hani's killer, Janusz Walus, has been released on parole, but the party and Hani's family are planning to approach the African Commission on Human and People's Rights over the release of Waluś on parole. Let's bring in SACP spokesperson Alex Mashilo for more on this. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mashilo. We do appreciate it. I'm sure the news was not very welcomed by the SACP as well as Mayor Dimpo Hani about the release of Janusz Walus. Perhaps tell us what your next step is as the SACP.
Indeed, we were disappointed by the judgment of the Constitutional Court on the 21st of November and its decision after we applied for reconsideration and rescission of that judgment. The next step that we will be taking, based on the fact that we have now exhausted all legal avenues available to us in the Republic of South Africa, is to approach the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in response to the Constitutional Court judgment and decision. We believe that the Constitutional Court did not grant us equal access to justice. It cannot be that by considering the submissions made by the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, that automatically covers the Hani family and the SACP, while we made our separate submissions. The Constitutional Court insists that there was an overlap between our submissions and those of the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, and therefore, by considering his submissions, we were covered. We don't believe so, because if you look at the judgment, there is a detailed legal assessment on the one hand of the submissions made by the assassin Janusz Walus, who remains unrepentant in our view, and on the other hand, the submissions made by the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. But there is no detailed assessment of the submissions made by the SACP and the Hani family. As a result, we believe we've been denied equal access to justice and to the courts as institutions of public service. We also do not believe that the privileges of convicted assassins to orbit loosely or freely outside prisons are more important than the fundamental rights of those who they have violated. If you look at what Janusz Walus did, he permanently deprived Chris Hani of his supreme right to life. It cannot be that is less important than his rights or his privileges to be considered for parole. We don't agree with that. That's why we are proceeding. We are also continuing with our 135-day mobilization program, which will culminate into the 30th anniversary of the assassination, the 30th anniversary of the commemoration of Chris Hani's assassination on April 10, 2023. At that stage, we will evaluate progress and announce new steps going forward.
I want to ask you about when you will be approaching the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and whether or not you think your approach to them is going to bring you any kind of different results. Because I know in your statement you said you've exhausted all legal avenues available here in South Africa.
Yes, indeed. Our legal team has already approached the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. What we are waiting for from the Commission is the case number. The process is that as soon as you receive the case number, you file all your papers. And they will be working 24/7 in the coming week to press ahead on that. Already, the Commission has been notified, and we are waiting for a case number, and our legal team will advise as step by step going forward.
I know you briefly touched on your 135 days program, but maybe just give us more details about that plan and what you intend on doing moving forward. I know there was much anger when that Constitutional Court ruling came out, and then it was announced after 10 days or so that Janusz Walus has been released on parole, and there was a lot of concern around what was actually going to happen. But what does your 135 days actually entail?
Just to go back a little bit, Wednesday this week, we held a picket outside the High Court of South Africa, the Limpopo Division in Polokwane. And going back a little bit, we held this massive march to the Hoshimamburu Prison Correctional Center in the beautiful city of Tshwane. And in the Western Cape, we held two pickets, one led by the ANC Youth League and the other led by the SACP. In KwaZulu-Natal, we already held a picket led by the SACP. We will be continuing with this program of mass mobilization and intensifying it. And if possible, mid-December, we may have another National Day of Action. What we are looking forward to is that, look, we are dealing with this case not only as Chris Hani's case and justice for Chris Hani's family. We just think that when you look at the judgment delivered by the Constitutional Court, what it did was to resurface deep-seated divisions in South Africa, the unrepentant and unremorseful perpetrators and beneficiaries of the apartheid regime celebrated on the one hand, while the community of the victims of apartheid were disappointed. This is a very important point that cannot be ignored. And just within days of that judgment, the Chris Hani Memorial site at the Thomas Nkobi Cemetery in Boksburg, Ekurhuleni municipality, was vandalized. You can see that we are having problems. It cannot be that those who were violated always go out and out and out to extend an olive branch, while the violators who defended and benefited from the apartheid regime are enjoying themselves and celebrating the fruit of the oppression of the majority. We're also looking forward to engaging with our allies and South Africans in general to check if we can strengthen the parole processes against abuse and make sure that we defend the rights of the victims and their families, ensuring justice in that regard going forward. Our recent Central Committee has resolved to expand the campaign to cover other victims and victims of the apartheid regime, as well as to seek justice for their families, and that includes the family of the Craddock Four, but that is not limited to that. We just think that our democratic dispensation will not be complete unless there is full accountability on what apartheid did as a crime against humanity as declared by the United Nations.
Okay, thank you so much for your insights, and we wish you all the best. We'll definitely be checking in with you to see how your process unfolds, given the fact that you have vowed to continue fighting on as the SACP. That was Alex Mashilo, who is the spokesperson for the SACP.